Do cyclists need strength training? Do we need to be lifting weights? The answer to that question is no. Here's why I think it's really important. When we make that kind of blanket recommendation for all people, I think we actually demotivate folks from doing the stuff that will help them the most. We've got to take into account all kinds of factors for a given cyclist on what's going to hit their goals, their priorities, and the stuff that lights them up and keeps them doing what they love. So if you're someone who loves to ride your bike for a lot of hours, you have a baseline of human strength, you don't have any problems going on, there's your answer. You don't have to feel this pull, this pressure, if you will, to hit the gym and lift weights. Welcome back to the Sprinter's Lounge. This is Sonic. He is our resident sprinter. My name is Robbie, and I help cyclists ride hard with no back pain. Well, let's start the conversation there. With 100% of the athletes that I work with, folks with back pain, sciatica, saddle pressure problems, power imbalance issues, everything related to that bucket. Someone approaches me and says, hey, I need your help. With 100% of those people, I'm going to have them do strength work. There's a very, very clear reason why. That said, that's the key. We have a very clear reason why. And for some cyclists, there's not a clear reason why they should be lifting weights, going to the gym. And if they simply don't want to and they're otherwise healthy, that's okay. But for someone with a pain problem, I think the equation is a little bit different. Because someone with a persistent pain problem, say something that's been going on longer than 6 months, or something that continues to recur like multiple times over a months to years basis, that is actually somebody who needs to be doing strength training. But like I said, there is a specific reason for that. So let's run through it. To keep things simple, the 10,000-foot view of why we would have back pain on the bike. You're going to get a kick out of this. It's super simple. There's too much damn stress on the back. Now, I'm going to tell you something that I believe is a stone cold fact. I'm not trying to convince you of anything here, but I've been a physical therapist for 13 years, the last 2 years of which I've exclusively worked with cyclists inside Race with Robbie. I've seen 10,000 cases of back pain. You're not having pain just because you are weak. So even with the knowledge that I'm going to give 100% of the people I work with strength work, I'm still not saying that someone's having back pain simply because they're weak. In fact, the important piece is that it's incredibly effective at resetting your mechanics and making the mechanics work, the mobility work, the position on the bike work more effective because it helps it stick. And that is the big thing. When I talk about giving strength work to 100% of the cyclists that I work with, my entire aim is to improve their mechanics so there's not too much damn stress on their back and so that it sticks. So that if that cyclist wants to finish up with me, know the minimum effective dose of what they need to stay healthy, well, if that doesn't necessarily include strength training for them, and if it's not something they want to do on a regular basis, well, that doesn't need to be part of their long-term plan. For the right person, that is liberating. A lot of the people that I work with adopt a mindset that they in fact do want to be doing strength training. They do want to be lifting weights after they've worked with me because they see the effectiveness on their mechanics. But let's take it back to a really, really broad angle, right? If we're relying on strength work to make us stronger, to improve our performance on the bike, it will when it's done right. But if we're relying on strength training to improve a pain problem, well, if you don't understand and address the root cause of why that's an issue in the first place, piling strength on top of bad mechanics only strengthens those bad mechanics. And that, from my perspective, is the big thing where I would say you have got to have the right strength work to match your assessment, to match your mobility work, to match your position work on the bike if you are rehabbing or fixing a back pain problem. With any recommendation, there's got to be a strong reason behind it. And I see it all over the internet. It is no shade to anyone. Look, I am not actually thinking of any specific person right now. I just see it all the time. that blanket recommendation that cyclists should do strength training, cyclists should lift weights, it leaves out a big segment of people that aren't weak in the first place. They don't need to get stronger to perform on the bike. It just leaves them out of the conversation. They're going to feel alienated. And in fact, they're kind of left confused as to why the thing that they don't want to do is being dumped on them. So it doesn't necessarily motivate them to put the right pieces in place to be as healthy as possible. It's not a bad recommendation that you should lift weights to be healthy. Two things can be true. We can say lifting weights is healthy for a human, and that a cyclist who has no major problems doesn't need to lift weights to stay healthy. Ultimately, there's nothing to say that you have to do strength work to be healthy as a human or to ride a bike pretty damn well. Now, you do have to maintain a baseline of strength. Your training on the bike should absolutely accomplish that. You should structure it in a way that doesn't leave you catabolic at all times, as lightweight wise as possible 12 months out of the year. But my hope is that this video sparks a piece of this conversation that gives you a little bit of freedom to know you don't have to do a damn thing if you don't otherwise have a problem. We'll come back to it probably dozens of times as I ramp up more on YouTube, because my goal is to be able to give you guys as cyclists the best resources from my 13 years of clinical experience, from my expertise with cyclists, position on the bike, mobility, strength, and tying it all together. But if you don't want to lift weights and you're otherwise doing fine, green light. You can continue what you're doing, and you can do so without any shame or without feeling any pressure to do something you want to do. I'll see you guys next time.